Hello dear viewers, welcome back to part 6 of the Dunamax mission of the Planting Flag space program. I'm Lorenzo, and one of the landers has successfully planted the flag on Juna. If you missed this, see the previous episode. The target now here is in view, it's Ike, and this lander is going to touch down with either Franklin or Johnzor. They're still drawing straws between them. The problem now is that this rocket is unbalanced, so I want to do as few burns as possible because they will sure be hairy. If we look at the map view, our course at this time is set to collide with Ike, which is of course not ideal, but it's pretty good because we're going to get close at any rate. I'm going to, let's see, we are going to smash into the front. I'm going to accelerate a little bit, which means we will get here faster. No, I should slow down a little bit to get there later. I don't know. I'm just going to put a maneuver node and see what it can do. If we accelerate a tiny bit, if we accelerate a little tiny bit, we get a periapsis at least. So yes, we want that of course as close as possible. 8 kilometers, that is a great target to aim for. It's 10 meter per second course correction, very small, and we can probably do that even with the unbalanced rocket. Now this rocket does not have any SAS guidance or whatever, it has full manual steering, which means it's all up to me. 8 minutes until this mark. I'm going to try and make this burn precise, because if we can nail the 8 kilometer altitude over Ike, that is going to be great. So here we go with the time acceleration for a little bit until the node, as I always do. 8, 7, 6, I'm looking at this number here down by the nav ball. 4, 3, 2, 1, that's lowering the time acceleration there. I'm going to do 10 meters per second in as many seconds is the plan at any rate. So aiming the ship directly in the correct altitude and firing the rockets. Firing them a little more. Going off course. Reducing thrust so it can still steer. As long as the thrust isn't that bad, the rocket won't list that much and the steering mechanism can compensate. With more thrust this would be a disaster, but doing it slowly we can steer this unbalanced rocket. I'm maxing out on the yaw axis, but it is looking to go well. 1 more meter per second to change the speed and cutting the rockets. Let's see how that went. Everything is flickering. Apparently the game is not sure if I'm going to actually encounter it or not. I think the best thing here is to just go forward and see. I'm going to get close anyway, and the computers inside the rocket are being a little disco ball. Well, why wouldn't they be? What I'm going to do is a similar approach as I did with Juna. The ship is going to pass by Ike, the lander is going to decouple, and the ship is going to continue on its merry way. This means the big interplanetary stage doesn't have to slow down. If it turns out that these guys can get back off Ike, it might return to pick them up, but otherwise there is quite a little bit of fuel left in the ship, and without the landers to push along, the one remaining pilot should be able to make it either home or somewhere else. So, with that done and decided, it's time to accelerate time once more until we are at Ike. And here we go. Pass through the shade of Juna there. Now it's time to reduce the time acceleration. See if our course still held. Yes, we are in a... I hope Ike doesn't have mountains that are 6 kilometers high, but this trajectory is a great one, and afterwards we will get a fairly large orbit around Juna. And if you notice, this orbit is larger than the previous one, and this is because we are in effect getting a gravity assist from Ike. While we are moving around Ike, Ike is also moving in its orbit, and now it is tugging us along, basically giving us a free boost. Unfortunately it's a free boost in the direction we don't want, but for now it's neat to at least think about. So Franklin or Johnzor, the one that looks happiest, it is going to be Johnzor. He's the smiling one. I have just decided that. And the EVA buttons are nowhere to be seen. If you give me an EVA button, please. Why can't I kick these people out anymore? This is a conundrum. Why are they not going to... Why won't they go out of the crew hatch? Go on. I am going to be reloading this game. I will be right back. Here I am back again, no worries. I was just still in time acceleration mode, and that of course precludes any crew unloading. So it's going to be Jonzor. Here we go, EVA. And here he is. We are currently in the shadow of Ike, and due to the air and time acceleration we are already nearing the lower side. We're at 60 kilometers altitude now. Were it Kerbin, we would be in the atmosphere already, but fortunately Ike is a moon and has no atmosphere, so we are still very much good to go. Spacewalking over to that other little capsule. Let's have a look at how that goes. Grab the ladder there and board it. So, our little man here is prepared and ready in the lander. It's going to remain attached for the moment until we are at the absolute lowest point. As again it reaches 6.5 kilometers up, this is very low. As this is a body with low gravity, we can expect fairly high mountains. So this is probably going to be a fairly harrowing pass. Even more so because we're going to be passing at the night side, so it's going to be dark. There isn't a lot of light. At least Franklin is happy to be in the lander. Or was it Jonzor? I don't remember which one I put where. I'm sure they will remember later. Time warping more. And as we, I think when we reach 15 kilometers I will detach the lander. Yes, we are now at 15 kilometers altitude. We can see, it's hard to see in the darkness, but Ike is filling up most of the horizon. This is not a starry sky, we're looking at the ground here. So 10 kilometers, and it's now definitely time to detach this lander. Say bye bye and good luck. So we are now here with Jonzor in the little escape pod. Well, it's not an escape pod, but in the little lander. And as we saw with the Juno lander, firing the engines causes it to spin horribly. So here's a small engine fire just to move away from the main ship. There it goes. And we are now definitely on our own. If we look at the map view again, excuse me, we are now slated to pass over the lowest point at 6.4 kilometers. Where is the sun in this picture? Because I really would like to land in sunlight. We are in Juna's shadow for the sun, so we are definitely going to be landing on the dark side. There is no way to quickly and easily get into the sun. This will complicate matters because it will be very hard to see if there is mountains or ridges or uneven terrain in the way. See, the indicator here is the main ship. It's moving away from us, or rather we are moving away from it. Or, as the rocket scientists say, it really doesn't matter, the distance is increasing. I'm not sure if rocket scientists say that, I just did. We're almost at the lowest point, so it's time to slow down a little bit more. Firing the rockets to do just that, firing them at full tilt and cutting them again. See the spin is induced by reason that these rockets are attached at slightly different elevations on the fuel tank, causing them to... No! What the hell was that? Dunamax ship debris? The main ship crashed? Oh shit. Apparently there was a larger mountain. We crashed at 6,401 meters. Well, as I was explaining the hazards of attempting a night launch, a night landing, this is one of them. There can be a mountain in the way and you are not going to see it coming. Apparently some debris here which has hit the surface, but what happened even? Liftoff. Yeah, they crashed into the surface. Yeah, they crashed. They just crashed into the surface. So 2 guys dead. Some debris still moving away at orbital velocity, or even escape velocity for this area. And this means that now our intrepid crewman... Oh, come on. Oh, I can't switch to it because we ended the flight. I have to go via the space center. Damn it, that means there's no flag on Ike just yet. Let's see, what do we have? We have the Dunamax ship here, and we want debris on this map as well. Yes. Dunamax ship debris. It did bounce, but it is going to come down again. Let's have a look at this debris, see what left. See what is remaining from the proud Dunamax. A nuclear engine. A nuclear... No, this is... Oh no, this is one of the side thrusters. The one thruster that survived. Well, that's rubbish. So, we are here now with the ascended lander. Durfrod Kerman. He is looking a little bit frazzled. I don't know if that's a word, but he's looking it. We are now in orbit of Juna, and he has just lost contact with his mothership that was just passing behind the radio silence of the Ike eclipse and has not come out yet. Perhaps his sensors will detect a small radiation signature of one of the engine piles, but there is nothing left. His two buddies have died, and he will reason this out soon. There's nothing for him in space, so he is going to attempt a landing without his engines, only the parachutes this time to bring him down. Perhaps there is something on Juna that will make him be able to survive at least a little bit of gravity while he waits for a rescue, if that. It's not a very realistic hope for him, I'm afraid, but he wants to be on the surface rather than remain in space. So, ooh, no, we need to go. What's happening here? More crashes? Please tell me there's not more crashes. Well, I'm back again. That was a crash induced by Adobe Premiere asking for files that I had since deleted. This is the hazard of leaving program files open. Anyway, what has happened so far is that the Ike lander crew has vanished. The return ship to Kerbin has vanished. Durfrod Kerman, previously very happy at making orbit again, is now in despair. He's not going to make it back to Kerbin, so he is going to try and eke out a living for himself on Juna. Facing these consequences, he is very happy he repacked his parachutes, because he will not have enough rocket fuel to descend propulsively, and he is going to plot a course through the atmosphere, putting his periapsis at 8 kilometers, hoping that the shallow trajectory through the atmosphere will slow him down enough, and additionally hoping, because he has not taken the time to gauge the terrain, hoping that he is going to land over a low area with no mountains. Little does Durfrod know, the mountains were fatal to his colleagues. Ike has apparently quite high elevations above the datum, and us flying over it at the night side as we did caused me not to see a mountain, and the mothership crashed into it just 2 kilometers ahead of the lander that had just detached before it. The pilot had just enough opportunity to notice the explosion, scream a profanity, and then crash himself. Not a great success for Ike. We can say the flag is on it because technically it is, but it is mangled, burnt and broken. So, the conclusion of this mission will be the landing and marooning of Durfrod. Well, hopefully the landing, certainly the marooning, and maybe the dying. This time we are forced to open the parachute at high altitude. I will think so, because there's not enough fuel to completely slow down. No way. So the parachute will need to help, and we will save the fuel for the last second before touchdown. This then will also mark the final entry in the KSP 0.20.2 version, and the next mission, which will be to Eve, by the way. The next mission will be in KSP 0.21, where we'll also be reviewing the nice new features that version brings. We'll just pretend the saves are incompatible with the new... Wow, look at Durfrod, he's dumping his chest. He will conquer Juna for sure this time. The new version, the saves will be incompatible, so you will not be seeing any of the flags I have planted, but rest assured they are there in a parallel universe or something, and we are ruling that Ike has a flag on it, even though, as I said, it's going to be, if it is battered, broken and burned, perhaps even bloody. But the flag is definitely on the surface. Although some pieces bounced off, maybe, yeah, you'll see the pieces that bounced off are the flag from the cockpit, cannot be anything else. So, in the meantime, we are landing in the Juna dawn. At least this, I think that's where this red light is coming from, or it's the night. It's the backscatter from the atmosphere in the night. We're landing in the Juna night, because of course in the atmosphere it's lighter than in space, because the atmosphere somewhat curves the light around the planet. I'm just noticing a problem. The parachutes are not in their own stage anymore because they have been used and repacked again, so I'm just going to fix that here and hope that works. I'm hearing some weird noises. We are at 26 kilometers now and steadily falling. Not quite yet in the thick of it atmosphere wise, but Durfrod has done this all before. This is the spacecraft's second landing today. It is quite a lot lighter because he has burnt a lot of fuel. The center tank is empty and the side tanks are less than 1/3 full. So he has quite a lot less fuel than he had the last time around. Game plan is to slow down as much as we dare on friction alone, or air resistance. It's technically not friction. You're always taught and told that the space shuttles and the re-entering spacecraft, they slow and heat up by friction, whereas in reality friction is a very, very low part of the actual drag. The drag is more because of just moving the air out of the way, and this happens not so much through friction as just through compression and mechanics. So while it might be technically correct to say that friction is slowing you down, after all you have to push this air out of the way and there's friction with the air on the air, and this is just like fluid dynamics. Friction is not actually causing the heat, only a very small amount of it. The compression of the air in front of you forms a big shock layer, and that compression, that causes the heat. So just something for Durfrod and yourself to ponder while hurtling down through the Juna atmosphere. Everything is now still rather peaceful, just under 1 kilometer per second, and slowly losing altitude. As I said in the map view, we have plotted a very shallow trajectory. This means, well, we are slowing down now and we are definitely going to intersect the ground, but this means we are slowly losing altitude and meanwhile slamming forwards through the atmosphere. This causes us to maximize braking potential caused by the atmosphere. Look, there is a big mountain. We don't want to land on the mountain, but if our trajectory is taking us there, we have no choice. Why don't we want to land on the mountain? Because just here, as here on Earth, the higher you go on Juna, the lower the thinner the atmosphere is, and we are relying on parachutes and atmosphere to slow us down. So the thicker, the better. Ideally, we want to be landing in a deep, deep valley, so we maximize our atmosphere for braking. Landing on a mountain is very difficult. This is also true in real life on Mars. All the missions thus far have landed in craters or valleys for that precise reason. It gives you just a little bit more time. It's simply further from the top of the atmosphere to the ground, and also a little bit more atmosphere to work with your heat shields, with your parachutes, to slow you down. Just makes everything a little bit easier. And the way it looks now, we are not getting that bonus. We are over the valley now, but we're still moving at 800 meters per second, and the mountain ridge is visible on the horizon. So I think we will probably be hitting that. I would like to see a sunset before... No, we are definitely not going to get a sunset, I don't think. No. It is going to be an early morning launch. I keep saying launch. Of course, it is a landing. Or a crash. Not decided yet. I think Durfrod will have found an extra flag here in the command pod. He can just drop that one here on Juna and tell everyone at home it was taken on Ike. Big discovery, it's red as well. They'll probably believe him, just before telling him no rescue will be forthcoming, because reality got a new version. So, as we wait for the spacecraft to descend, the next target will probably be Eve. I'm thinking of a one-person manned mission there, because that is going to be a no-return, a one-way ticket for sure, because the atmosphere there is so thick, it's almost impossible to take off from it. But the guy going there will of course receive a house, a lander, a colony module of some sort. He will not be dropped in a puny lander like poor Durfrod here is. The next flight will be forthcoming in one of the few coming days. And of course, as always, if you like these videos, be sure to like them on YouTube, your Facebooks, subscribe and everything. I like seeing you guys, and if you have comments, tips or requests, they are of course most welcome. We're now at 5 kilometers, and it appears we are. I have quite a difficult time gauging the altitude here, but we are on par with the mountaintop, so I am going to deploy the parachutes. Apparently I'm not. The staging didn't work. I have to do it manually. This is a problem. This is a big problem. I need to release all 3 parachutes before I can use the engines, otherwise it's going to be a big problem. 3 parachutes here. Oh shit. Firing the engines. This is not looking good. We're upside down. We're still very fast, still at 180 meters per second, full thrust on the engines. Parachutes have deployed. This is looking better and better. We are now descending at only 10 meters per second. If only the spin can be brought under control. Great. Apparently a parachute only landing is feasible, because I barely use the engines. But who knows, maybe it's just that percent over it. Or of course the spacecraft is a lot lighter this time around. Maybe the parachutes are sufficient now, but they weren't before. Anyway, this is looking to be a very soft controlled landing. And Durfrod is sure happy it happens like this. We are not quite on a mountaintop, not in a valley either. We are looking to land at about 1 kilometer above the datum. The datum is what they call the arbitrary sea level on planets without an actual ocean. So some astronomers decided that the sea level was 933 meters below this landing point. We even have a bit of fuel left. Not enough to get into orbit, I'm quite sure, but you never know with these little rockets. Anyway, Durfrod is going to get out, as he did before already today, and he is going to plant his second flag. He is going to... Ooh, don't fall over, little man. He is going to do this a little while off. And look at that, the Starry Night, the jetpack assisted power walk. Ooh, and he's falling on his face. And as soon as he gets up, he's going to plant the flag. Plant that flag. And you're not going home again, boy. So here we are. And with that, solemnly here. Home, sweet home, and tomb. That's a good name for the flag. Give us a wave. Hello. I'm not going home. There's the ship. Here's Juna. There's the second flag. This was Lorenzo. In the Dunamax mission concluded with 1 survivor on Juna with a lander with no fuel. Still smiling. No flag on Ike, but the flag on Juna. Next mission to Eve in KSP point 21. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.